This is Discovering the Scriptures with Dr. Peter John Parisis. Currently, we are in Daniel chapter 3, verse 24. Reading from the King James Bible, quote, "Then Nebuchadnezzar, the king, was astonished, and rose up in haste, and spake, and said unto his counselors, Did not we cast 3 men bound into the midst of the fire? And they answered and said unto the king, True, O king." Unquote. Now I want to give a shout out to one of our listeners of the program who did correct me on the pronunciation of one of the gentlemen that was thrown into the fire. Thank you for pointing that out to me about the pronunciation of it, how I was incorrect and how I was saying it, and I will go forward and do a better job on that. I do ask that if you do find anything else that I'm doing wrong, saying wrong, please let me know. Let's go to prayer. God, thank you for the listeners of this program, for joining together to help give us the information that would make it correct so we don't go forward and continue with the same mistakes. Thank you for motivating them to become active and to help out and to be active in showing information. That's what I want. That's what I like. That's what I'm hoping. That they will continue to have discussions amongst themselves about what they see, what they think, and that this way we can all benefit from it. You, Lord, are responsible for giving us wisdom, understanding, and knowledge. And I acknowledge that, and I thank you. I do ask you to give each one of us wisdom and knowledge and help us as we go through each verse of the Bible, that we'd meditate upon it, observe it, and think on our own, what does it mean? And look forward to getting in your word even more. Help us to love one another more and help us to love you more and have a personal, loving relationship with you. In Jesus Christ's name I pray. Now, Father, I give you a moment of silence, asking that you would please speak with us. In Jesus' name I ask. Okay. This verse is on its own as far as paragraph-wise. So let's go forward then and look at it in the Young's Literal Translation. Quote, "Then Nebuchadnezzar the king had been astonished and hath risen in haste. He hath answered and said to his counselors, Have we not cast 3 men into the midst of the fire, bound? They have answered and are saying to the king, Certainly, O king." Unquote. Now, let's go ahead and parse this out because there is a lot here on the observation side that we could talk about, but I think we need to go ahead and get into the parsing first and see what we can draw from that, and then we'll go ahead and go forward. Remember, Daniel is not writing in Hebrew in this, his native tongue. He's writing in the court's language, the Chaldeans' language, Aramaic. Then Nebuchadnezzar the king was astonished. A lot of parsing here, so let's look at this. PL stem, casual, perfect aspect, completed. Was astonished and rose up. Parse that out. PL stem, casual, perfect aspect, completed. In haste. Okay, now this is an APL. And that means that it is an intensive, reflective of the casual. Plus, it is an infinitive aspect, so that means you could just add an ing to this. In hasting, continuing, and spake. Let's parse that out. PL stem, participle. So it's basically casually speaking. Continuing, and said, PO stem, participle aspects, and another casual one. Unto his counselors did not we cast, let's parse out we cast, PO stem, perfect aspect. Continuing, 3 men bound, let's parse that, PO stem, participle aspect, into the midst of the fire. They answered, parse this, PO stem, participle aspect, and said, let's parse that, PO stem, participle aspect. So casual. Unto the king, true, O king. So we have everything pretty well being written here casually. So it seems that this has been written, of course, after the fact. There's no intensity here as far as it being related. Now, an observation, this is definitely being written by Daniel after the fact. He wasn't there. So how can it be written casually? Well, let me explain. Not even 3 weeks ago, I was driving down the road in my truck. No stop signs, no nothing, total right away for me. And I was driving 1 second, and the next second I was at dead center in the pavement and could not move. I had just been T-boned by a young lady with no license and no insurance driving another person's new Volvo. Now, what does that mean? Well, had you asked me about the accident at that moment, we would have had some serious parsing to go on that would not be casual. But now if you talk to people who are not involved in it and they're relating to you about the accident that took place that day down the road, which I did the next day, because I know people that work there in that area, they would have casually told you about the accident that took place, not realizing that it was me. So Daniel is relating what's going on for a purpose. What is that purpose? Well, let's continue on and see what we have here. In observation, I'm going to tell you what I think. Nebuchadnezzar rose up in haste and spake, and said unto his counselors, Did we not cast 3 men bound into the midst of the fire? No, we did not. You had your strongest guys of your army throw these guys in, and they were killed in the flame. They were killed by this fire that you created. So no, we didn't do it. Okay, so let's get that straight, number one. It's like talking about, sports. When they lose, it's them, and when they win, it's we. So, no, we did not. But Nebuchadnezzar, obviously, is sitting there watching with his new counselors. I don't know how new they were really, but to me, when they are throwing in their competition into the fire, expecting and hoping to be promoted, you're standing by the king's side now, who is himself going to watch these guys die, and now it's going to be on your conscience, you new counselors, that your enemy is now going to die, and it's going to be seared into your conscience of what you did. You get to watch it and be tortured for the rest of your life, doing what you did. Now, if you know that someone's going to die from your accusation, you better be able to live with the consequences of watching what happens to them. In this case, horrifically. Now, my next question is, what kind of a person is Nebuchadnezzar? Grant you, he is a soldier. He has killed people in war. Now you're taking some defenseless guys who stood up to you, you're binding them, or you're having other people bind them, because you're a coward and don't do it yourself. And then you're having them throw these guys into the fire because, again, you can, and in my opinion, you're a coward, because you're not throwing them in yourself, since you're the one determined to do this. But you're right there watching this happen. You're going to watch these guys scream in agony, burning in agony. It's going to be a horrific scene. Horrific. Recently, we just had 2 young boys caught on the second floor of their house as their house burned. And their mother told them to get out, and they ran upstairs scared instead of getting out of the house. And she got there in time to hear them screaming in the fire. It's not something you want to live with. And here this man is throwing three of his counselors, three of his people he promoted that helped out with his dream with Daniel earlier in Daniel 1 and 2. And he is now sitting there watching this. What kind of a person is this? Bloodthirsty, whacked out kind of guy with mood swings that are absolutely incredible? But here goes on. There is astonishment going on by these counselors because their wordage is very short. True, O king, is all they said. One word, true. Second one, acknowledging who they're standing before. How did they say it? Probably watching in absolutely amazement, not believing their own eyes, that these men who they were thrown in because of their accusations, they're saying, true, O king. Something's happening in this fire. What is it? What's going on? Let's take a look at the commentaries and see what we got going. Alright, reading the commentaries, they think that King Nebuchadnezzar jumped up and in worry and in amazement and in panic rushed up to the mouth of the furnace to see, wasn't 3 people that we threw in here? Because something's going on in this fire. I don't think he ran up to that fire. You'd have to go across the dead bodies, the dead, burning, smelling corpses of your army commanders, the strongest men that were killed by this fire, throwing these men in. I don't think you're going to want to go near that smelling, stinking, rotting, burning, cooking flesh of these men to find out what's going on in the furnace that you can see. This furnace is big enough to throw 3 men into by other guys who were killed by the fire. You're going to be able to see with no problem. I'm not going to run up against some burning, smelling, cooking human flesh. That's repulsive to see what's going on inside that. I'm going to look and trust my eyes. So, as far as what the commentaries have to say about this, no, I don't buy it. I don't buy that he ran up in panic. I think he stood up and looked forward to see what in the world is going on. Because there's a lot happening in this scene. Please remember that our current ministry on YouTube is supported by your clicking on the ads that allows money to be given by the advertisers to YouTube, and then a portion is given to my ministry here, which helps support it. And also, we're trying to raise the money to go nonprofit. Right now, we're currently at a couple $100 per month from YouTube, so it'd be really appreciated if you could click on as many ads as possible each time that you're listening. Thank you very much for supporting the ministry. May God richly bless you.